This is the Galactic Emperor of the Universe. I'm here to tell you all to subscribe to UnrealEntGaming and remember to turn on notifications. You will be the first to know all about the latest Dragon Ball news and information.
Oh, did you say UnrealEntGaming? Oh, I love his channel.
God damn it, Zelbon, stop rubbing your nipples and get back to bed!
What is going on, Dragon Ball fans? Welcome back to another episode of this week's Dragon Ball Q&A video, where today we have lots of awesome questions to go through and pertains to Dragon Ball questions. So I hope you guys sit back and enjoy, and as I always tell you guys, these questions are directly reflected onto you guys. So if you guys have any other opinions and or comments to add on to the questions, drop your questions and opinions down the comment section below, as these questions do also pertain to you guys. And of course, if you guys have any questions to ask me and pertains to Dragon Ball, any form of Dragon Ball, go on ahead and drop your questions down the comment section below. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to slap that subscribe button and turn on notifications. That way you guys are always notified whenever I post a Dragon Ball video onto the channel. Hashtag notification squad. Thank you all for watching, guys. So without wasting any more time, let's go on ahead and begin with our very first question today, which is from Bro Mystic. Hi Alex, I love your channel. I've been watching you since 20 to 40k. Damn, so a few years, man. God bless you for that. Keep making great content. I respect how you consistently make videos. I don't know how you do it, brother. I don't know how I do it either, man. I have some questions. Question number one, do you think Goku already knows about this quote-unquote new form, or do you think Jiren is going to force him into it? Question two, do you think Jiren is going to knock out Frieza when Goku and Frieza team up against them? Question three, do you think this new form is going to be equal with or greater to Jiren, and do you think Goku can sustain it? Well, thank you so much for the questions, Mr. Mystic. Now, to answer your first question, I think Goku already knows this form. If you guys go back to when Goku first fought Toppo, he was going to break his limits right then and there, until of course the Daishinkan pretty much told both Toppo and Goku not to go all out to save it for the actual Tournament of Power. So I can only assume that Goku already knows what this is. How did he achieve the form is unknown. Maybe by some chance he may have done some off-screen training, which again would make sense, but I think that this new form is going to be something to where Jiren's gonna force him out of it per se, because I can definitely see Goku fighting Jiren as a Super Saiyan, as a Super Saiyan Blue, maybe even using Kaioken times 10, and all of that having to fail. And when all else fails, I think that right then and there, Goku's gonna force himself into breaking his limits for the first time and unleashing that form against Jiren. Now, again, I do think that based on evidence alone, Goku may have actually tapped into this knowledge prior to the actual tournament happening. So if you want to ask me, I think that Goku already knew about this from the get-go. It's just a matter of fact of achieving it, and I think what better place to achieve such a limit-breaking form than achieving it right here at the Tournament of Power. So to answer your second question, do I think Jiren is going to knock out Frieza when fighting Goku and Frieza against them? Well, first things first, we don't really know if Frieza and Goku are gonna gang up against Jiren. We're only going based off of the Super Dragon Ball Heroes Mission number 5 trailer that we saw. And if that turns out to be true, if Frieza and Goku actually work together for once to fight off a common enemy, then I wouldn't really mind seeing that per se. But overall, having to see that fight come about, I can definitely see Jiren honestly beating down both Frieza and Goku. And again, guys, these questions are directly reflected onto you, so if you guys have anything to add on to this, let me know down below. But I just think that Jiren, in my opinion, Jiren is much more powerful than True Golden Frieza and Super Saiyan Blue Goku, which in a way would kind of make sense for Jiren to take them both on head on and win. So I think that yes, to answer that question, if by some chance we have Frieza and Goku teaming up against Jiren, by the end of that fight, I can definitely see Jiren emerging as the winner in that little scuffle. Of course, we don't know what may play off after, but if you want to pit up True Golden Frieza and Super Saiyan Blue Goku against Jiren, my money would be on Jiren. Now, to answer your final question, do I think this new form is going to be equal to Jiren or greater than Jiren? Well, here's the thing, right? I think that in my opinion, whatever limit-breaking form this is, it ought to be something to where Goku is able to sustain it. I just think that this form shouldn't really be too OP'd, because if they allow this new form to completely overpower Jiren, if Jiren turns out to be the mortal that Whis was talking about, if that ends up being the case, then you completely shit on the idea of Jiren having to be a formidable foe to begin with. And I think that a very good way to have this go about is to have Jiren and Goku equal to in power when it comes to Goku breaking his limits. I personally don't want to see Goku completely tank Jiren. I think that Jiren ought to be a person to where he's able to sustain Goku's damage. He's able to, you know, be durable enough to where he can handle Goku. I just don't agree with the idea of having Goku completely decimate Jiren. I think that Jiren ought to be the person to literally give limit breaking Goku the fight of his life. But do I think that it's going to be equal to in terms of stature? That's unknown, because we don't really know what Jiren is capable of, nor do we know like the depths of his power. So it's going to be very interesting to see in terms of like showcase and in terms of feats. But if you had to ask me, I would say yes, I think that Goku can sustain this, at least for the time being. And in terms of equal to or greater than Jiren, I would have to say I would put him equal to Jiren rather than him being greater than him. Because again, if Goku ends up being greater than Jiren, then that just kills the whole vibe of the tournament. So I would have them be even, in my opinion. So anyways, Mr. Bro Mystic, thank you so much for your questions, bro. And I hope you have a fantastic day, my friend. And now moving on to the next question, which is from KPAP313. Hey Alex, been subscribed for a great deal of time now and watch each and every video you pump out. A, for your quality and knowledge, and B, for you being such a likable person. Thank you, man. And so intellect on a show I've loved since a kid. I would be very grateful and very humbled for you, out of all people, to answer a question I had. I've always watched the Q&As. Thank you for that, brother. But never had a question drop for myself. My question is really simple, and it follows like this. What would your opinion be on the Emperor of Evil Frieza fighting the Warrior of Justice Toppo in the Tournament of Power? Brother, it's bound to happen. I've kept that in mind, Toppo's power level during the Zen exhibition match before Goku went to break his limits, as well as the power of Golden Frieza exerted when dealing with the God of Destruction's energy, which Goku could not manage. I think this would be a perfect clash for Toppo's mighty justice sense and Frieza's diabolical ways. Who do you think would take that win, Alex? Well, thank you so much for the questions, and thank you so much for the support, man. Like, that means more to me than anything else. But true Golden Frieza versus Toppo, it's bound to happen. And the reason why I like this so much is because I want to see if Toppo is able to recognize and pick up on the vibes that Frieza emits, in the idea that he is very sinister, he is very diabolical, he is very evil. And since Toppo represents the opposite of that, it'll be such an awesome scene to have, where Frieza is just showing off his sinister side. He's being very manipulative, very diabolical, and Toppo goes against that. But honestly, as of right now, we don't know anything about Toppo to definitively say, okay, he would win. Aside from his fight with Goku, in which Frieza had many times before, in this case, until we see more from Toppo, I'm gonna have to go with Frieza. And I'm not saying that Toppo is weak, I'm just saying that in a sense to where Frieza has the easy way out. He can easily pull something sinister off to where he can catch Toppo off guard, and he can manipulate him. He can try to kind of fool him into, you know, thinking one way and then he does something else. Frieza is a very cunning fighter. So having to scale that, I would have to go with true Golden Frieza until we see more from Toppo. However, if of course Toppo taps into his power and seeing more or less of what Toppo can really do in a tournament-like setting, until then we can definitively say, okay, well, Toppo would win or Frieza would win. But until that very point, I'm gonna have to go with Frieza, just because we've seen his feats before. We've seen everything Frieza has done prior to this in terms of fighting off the assassins, in terms of fighting off Goku, fighting off Vegeta, fighting off all the Z fighters. So I would just love a war of dialogue, just to see Toppo talk about, we represent justice, we represent truth, we represent righteousness, and Frieza having to say, oh yeah, all that mumbo jumbo garbage, you know, I represent the total opposite, so screw you. I would love to see that happen. So in my opinion, I don't think that it'll be an easy fight. I definitely think that Frieza would beat the shit out of Toppo, just as Toppo would beat the shit out of Frieza. I don't think that this would be easy. However, by the end of it, what I would really love to see is, I would love to see Toppo pretty much wrap himself around Frieza, similar to how he did with Goku, and just squeeze him like a boa constrictor. Like, that would be awesome, because we saw what happened with Goku. I mean, when Goku fought Toppo, you know, Toppo momentarily dislocated his shoulder. So he dislocated Goku's shoulder, and then even after that, he began to, like, you know, squeeze him, like, you know, the Justice Bear hug, and he was crushing Goku's bones. So that was pretty cool to see. But in this tournament-like setting, until we see more from Frieza and Toppo definitively, then we're gonna, you know, then we're gonna have a clear-cut answer. But until then, for me, I'm gonna have to go with Emperor Frieza just because of all the things we've seen Frieza do before. So anyways, Mr. K-Pap, thank you so much for the questions, bro, and I hope you have a fantastic day, my friend. And now moving on to the next question, which is from Gandalf the Grey. Hi, Unreal, you've earned a new subscriber. Thank you so much, Gandalf. I have a few questions. Question number 1, Toriyama/Toriotaro did the community a fan service by making Kale the canon Broly. Do you think they will ever consider making the Saiyan race of Universe 6 able to reach Super Saiyan 4? It could make sense as they evolved differently. Ooh, that's an interesting question. Question 2, Jiren is being built to be the hardest opponent for Goku yet. If the theory of the Grand Priest being evil is correct, what/who do you think would Goku's next greatest challenge in Dragon Ball Super be? Or do you think Super may take a different approach and shine the light on a new story, i.e. Goku training Oob, Vegeta leading Planet Sadal? Question 3, if Nappa survived Vegeta's betrayal and killed him, how differently would Dragon Ball Z/Super Saga be right now? Well, Mr. Gandalf, thank you so much for the questions. To answer your first question, yes, they did the community a fan service in making Kale the canon version of Broly and Super. And a lot of people, whether you guys hate it or love it, a lot of you guys are enjoying it because, you know, Kale is supposed to be what Broly is, you know, made in a canon-like format. But even though as of right now, we haven't seen much from her, we could see more from her as a character down the line in terms of possibly a future arc or a future story. However, in terms of them making Super Saiyan 4 canon in the world of Dragon Ball Super, never say never, anything is possible. However, logically speaking, where would you even place Super Saiyan 4 in a canon-like format next to Super Saiyan Blue? If in fact Super Saiyan 4 was canon, how exactly would you put that together in a setting to where it's, you know, comparative to Super Saiyan Blue? Would it be stronger than Super Saiyan Blue? Would it be weaker than Super Saiyan Blue? Would it be equal to Super Saiyan Blue? You know, I think that as a whole, you're right. The Saiyans of Universe 6 evolved differently, and thus having different transformations would be more than suitable, i.e. Kale, i.e. Khalifa and Kaba, you know, each of them having a different transformation, having to look different, having to fight different. So for me, I don't think they ought to give the entire Saiyan race from Universe number 6 the opportunity to transform into Super Saiyan 4s. However, if there is a specific character that they would allow to transform into Super Saiyan 4, those characters would have to be either Khalifa, Kale, or Kaba, since they're the only ones introduced from that universe and having to be Saiyans and having to have airtime and screen time and being featured in the Tournament of Power. So I agree they should make Super Saiyan 4 canon in their own little way in terms of having the transformation be different, perhaps maybe a gold fur, you know, gold hair, gold tail, or something along those lines. You know, they don't have to do it to where it's like black hair, red fur, but, you know, sort of like add like their own little spin to it per se. But I don't think that the Saiyans from Universe 6 should achieve it, but more or less one of the three I just mentioned. Now, to answer your second question, that's a very good one, because if the Grand Priest does end up being evil, then that's going to be Goku's greatest challenge, don't you say? Because the Grand Priest is supposed to be the second in command, the second strongest character in the entire Omniverse. So that says a lot right there. And having the Daishinkan actually be evil, you would have to assume that nobody could take him on head on because he's so strong. So I think realistically speaking, that would be Goku's greatest challenge. However, in terms of Super taking a different approach, I can definitely see, you know, Goku training Oob, Vegeta having to do some sort of training by himself, not really more or less getting involved in leading Planet Sadala, but I can see him going out there and seeing what it's like and meeting the king, meeting the prince, you know, showing them what it's like, you know, how it's like from Universe number 7, how the Saiyans used to do it there. That'd be pretty cool to see. And Dragon Ball Super right now has so much material to build off of future stories, future arcs. It all depends on Toriyama's direction, it all depends on Toriyama's guidance, and it ultimately depends on whether or not Toriyama really wants to continue with this. But for me, I would definitely love to see, you know, Goku have many other obstacles come before him in the future. For example, fighting off other gods, having a rematch with Beerus, you know, things of that nature. I would love to see Goku also train Oob as well, and for them having to retcon the beginning of Dragon Ball GT and just Goku and Oob having to train differently. I mean, that'd be pretty cool to see Oob fighting Super Saiyan Blue Goku. Like, imagine that. But as a whole, I think that Super may take a different approach. It's just a question of what happens after this tournament. Now, to answer your final question, Nappa. If Nappa survived Vegeta's betrayal and killed Vegeta, how different would things be? Well, Nappa didn't really seem like he had, like, you know, all that great of a potential. Nappa wasn't really a scrub during those times, but having a look at it now, it's like, well, what more could Nappa have done to sustain himself in the world of Dragon Ball? I mean, would you buff him up like Vegeta? No. And Vegeta and Goku had a natural chemistry, whereas Nappa was just full of his own shit. So Nappa deserved to go, rightfully so, and I think that the story of Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super would be very weird. I mean, it would be very weird to have Goku and Nappa, you know, having their own little, like, shtick going on there. Like, it definitely wouldn't fit the mold. But I think that as a whole, I would definitely prefer to have Vegeta over Nappa, because even seeing what Nappa did, you know, back during Dragon Ball Z, and even during the shortcomings of GT and stuff like that, you know, and the special movies or whatever, Nappa really didn't appeal to anybody, at least not for me. So for me, if Nappa did survive, the show would plummet, because there is nobody that would ever take the position of the one and only Prince of all Saiyans. So, but anyways, my friend, thank you so much for the questions, Gandalf, and I hope you have a fantastic day. And once again, everybody, thank you all so much for watching. I truly hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to go on ahead and slap a like on the video. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to go on ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys. Turn on notifications, that way you guys are always notified whenever I post a Dragon Ball video onto the channel. And again, hashtag notification squad. Again, if you guys want to see more Q&A videos, go on ahead and post your comments and or questions down in the comment section below, so you guys can be featured in the upcoming episode. And again, guys, if you guys have not checked out and subscribed to my second channel, you can find the link to that down in the comment section below. It's called Unreal Network, guys. Go on ahead and check that out. Tune back in for more, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys down in the comment section below. Have a great day, everybody, and God bless. Peace!